So a lot of the conversations have been around surrounding, I think the biggest takeaway is white passing identified folks not feeling comfortable speaking up for the individuals and or communities that are which I literally said, if you don't feel comfortable, it's fine. Or if you feel inclined to speak up, preface it with, I know this might not be like my area of expertise, I may not be a part of this community, I may be saying this wrong. As long as you ask us and pose questions and or statements in an earnest way, like we're never gonna be mad at you for asking. Unless I say, don't talk to me right now. Then don't talk to me right now. That's that. I don't know if you're aware, so you might be. The Instagram page Hampshire and Non. Have you been made aware of this Instagram account?
See, I know about Hampshire
Got it, on the meme page. I was like, what is that? And I heard something completely different. I heard Hampshire and animals, and I was like, what is that? It sounds gross. Hampshire and Non is.
Yeah, I have this right here.
Oh my god.
So basically, it's an Instagram account. It was created within the last week, where people are able to, through a Google form, submit anything anonymously. And it's come up a lot of people addressing racism on campus and people that have outwardly been racist towards them or transphobic, homophobic. And it's blown up and people have gone back and forth.
All I want to say is that I do not, like, believe it or not, and I would love to get the audience's hot take on this, I do not want Hampshire College to act and take it down. Part of me likes it, because, yes, I know, and I know this is going to sound really problematic, and I mentioned this before, part of me likes the fact that, yes, we are all on our smartphones most of the time, and it's so much faster for us to quickly respond to stuff on the internet, because it's convenient, it's right there. Now, as administration, if you're aware that this page is going on, or sorry, that this page exists, somebody within administration should be able to monitor what's going on and then be able to reach out to not to the specific individuals, but to the, let's say just for shits and giggles, there was an incident with a theater professor and then it was posted on that page, right? That then gives administration some sort of idea of, hey, this is going on, let's address this, or send somebody to go figure out what's going on. So part of me likes it because it's an accountability / we know what's going on and we're kind of in the loop because we're getting it firsthand from this demographic that it directly impacts. However, the flip side to that, which I'm sure you're aware, and I've looked through it, there are a couple things in it that are really concerning. And the one that really hit me, and this comment, and actually, this is a great opportunity for you to take out your smartphones and actually look through that page if you've not been made aware. Also follow me on Instagram because we're trying to get to like 6,000 people by the end of the year. My shameless plug. This and my BIPOC students. My heart goes out to you when I heard this because you saw my face and I was very distraught. There was a comment on that page that states that I do not feel comfortable leaving my dorm room because of racism on campus. And that's terrifying to hear that you don't feel safe to even walk down the halls of the building that you're living in because of fear of something happening to you. And even sitting back here, like, and I still read it and I get emotional hearing that because I'm like, that should never happen. And part of me hates that because we don't know which dorm building this is happening, and we don't know which floor it's happening, and we don't know if there's a specific incident that's happening. And partly, like, my biggest fear, and I know I mentioned this earlier, and it was partially a joke, but like being completely serious, it's like an episode of 13 Reasons Why meets Euphoria. Like, there is a very real possibility that somebody could actively, take action to either rectify or end the situation. I just don't like that. I would love to hear from like an administrative standpoint, hearing that this page exists, hearing that there's a submission type thing in place that this exists. I don't know.
I'll give you two things that occurred to me. One is the first one was like, please don't take the
Yeah.
We're when it comes to social media and pretty much any other form of expression, we're pretty hands off with the learning answer in place. So you mentioned it, the idea would even occur to me. I do try to, I make sure not to officially follow some of these pages because I don't want people to feel uncomfortable. But, sometimes look at them. So I didn't know about this one, but now that I do, we'll look at it. As far as somebody having such a difficult experience with racism on this campus, they don't feel able to leave the room safely. We need to find out through the network of people who work here and are responsible for working with students, where that might be taking place and who that student or students are likely to be. And I think that we have, my hope would be that for example, the cultural center is or should be a BIPOC exclusive or largely BIPOC exclusive safe place that when we get information to that student that there's a place that they might be able to go to have some shared experience and connect to the resources at the college that might be able to help them with their immediate experience. Try to make them feel a little bit safer, which is different from fixing the problem of racism.
Correct. Because it's too large. I mean, the issue again with that page is that it's all anonymous, so we have no kind of context and or information as to where this is coming from, other than that it's a theme. And I'm going to pose this to some of my BIPOC students here in the audience. Like, do you? And I'm sorry, this is a very blunt question, but do you actually feel safe on this campus? Shit. Yes.
Sorry, I sort of zoned out a bit, but you're asking, like, what are you asking in this end?
Mainly my BIPOC students first, because this more like directly impacts them versus the white community. Sorry. Like, to my BIPOC students, do you actually feel safe on campus, or do you feel like there is just opening the floor?
Speaking as a queer Arabic student on campus, and someone who comes from Houston, which is not Texas, which is not exactly a place known for its inclusivity, I personally do feel safe here, but I think it's okay to acknowledge that other people aren't going to, because, like, I honestly don't know what I can say there, because some people probably different things, but I don't want to, like, speak on how other people, how other BIPOC students feel about facing on things, but personally, like, especially compared to when I was school, I feel like way safer here than I did back home.
Yes,
I'll say as a non-first-year student, I mean, I feel like mostly safe because when it's only Hampshire students in the room, because I know that most Hampshire students aren't racist, or like, are at least aware of their privilege, and so like, I feel like I don't have to worry about about being singled out or anything. But like when I go to events where there are non-Hampshire students, like woods parties or like other like shows on campus where I know that like especially UMass students, but also like other college students, that's when I feel like a little bit more like I want to be in the background and I don't want to interact because I don't know their intentions as well as I know like Hampshire students' intentions.
Picking that up what you said, I'm also part of the LGBT community. I'm mixed race, and I'm also from Texas. So hello.
Beavers.
But from the DFW area. Yeah.
Sorry, that was odd. Okay. Good thing you're on opposite sides of the room. No West Side Story, please.
And so it definitely is safer here. I physically safe here, but emotionally, like I said before, there's been times where I'm just like, whoa, this sucks. But overall, yeah.
Really boring.
It's okay.
So kind of,
Just opening up the floor. If anybody else would like to share.
So I have a comment. I'm obviously white, but I am Jewish, and as a Jew, I felt very unsafe on this campus, specifically because there was a person that prior to moving in over the summer, I met through a Hampshire admitted students group, made very anti-Semitic comments to me. I said, this person makes me feel very unsafe. I contacted housing. I said, this person, I'm not safe around. Please do not make me live near this person. They said, okay. And now I live near this person. And I've been living near this person for 2 months. And I've not been able to move because in order to receive my accessible housing accommodations for a disability, I have to live near this person. And I've just heard that I might be able to move like next week. But for 2 months, I've been forced to choose between my accommodations and my safety. And they have known about this the entire time. So I don't feel that the school is necessarily giving up, and that's for me as a white Jewish person. I don't know how that situation is generalized to other marginalized groups on campus, but if that's my experience, I imagine that other people are having similar, if not worse, experiences.
Like, I don't know who just said that.
Hi.
Hey, what's your name?
Rue.
Rue, my name is Aaliyah. When you spoke to them, like, did they address any anti-Semitic responses? Did they say it in like a joking manner, or was it in a serious tone? Because I think either way, like I've had people say stuff that is in a joking manner, but it's stuff that you don't joke about. Or like the Holocaust. Like I had a person that I used to know had what is that really fucking terrible movie that's really hard to watch? They had this
The boy in the striped pajamas.
No.
Wait, about the Holocaust?
Schindler's
Schindler's List.
Yeah.
Had the fucking playlist to that song and would play it in the car because it was a fucking joke. Sorry for swearing at anything.
Again, you're a first year, you missed what happened last year. Oh my, for y'all that were at the, never mind, March, I said some shit, and I wish we were recording that because that's how I got invited back. They felt bad, they're like, oh, we need to give them another chance.
You got invited back because you fit in so well.
I'm skinny, I lost a lot of weight. Fit in. Did actually, I lost like 20 pounds. Just stop eating.
No.
Eat. Yeah. No. Are you my mom? Like, what's going on?
I'm an RA, so I can be your mom.
I don't go here. That's such a job. You know what? Fucking Ed. That's a you thing, babe. I don't. That's not me.
Well, I mean, I just wanted to note down here, Rue, so let's connect about why this took so long. I do want to jump back a little bit to the earlier question about BIPOC students feeling safe on campus. And I'm concerned about, the kind of sense of overconfidence from maybe what's coming out of this room, right? I know I had a couple of conversations with large groups last year where there was a lot of concern and then more of the kind of sense of emotional safety and how slowly the institution is changing itself in its culture, right? And one of the things that came up again and again, and I don't want to, undermine the sense of people who come from places like Texas and feeling like this is a respite, because I think that's good that you feel that way. But there was kind of a sense of like, well, Hampshire's, we talk about being committed to trying to become an anti-racist institution. We talk about trying to be a safe place for people from a variety of underrepresented and oppressed identities. But we aren't there, right? Because we are a persistently white institution, right? That hasn't remedied all of that. There's a sense of, I came here thinking that, this would be the place where I wouldn't be other, and I wouldn't have to, where people would get it. And then they did, right? And
That's the issue, is that
you
we
know,
heard that so much in March.
Yeah.
And I think the issue that we're, like all of us sitting here, we're kind of just like, the questions that we had prepared and thought about addressing were mainly to people that have been here for a while. So I think we're in a really good position now, as you are all first years. A, now you're also aware that this shit is happening on campus, right? That's A. But B, that also means that you get to rely and now you have exact plugging you, exact access to resources, like this one over here. Not naming names, I'm still petty about them doing all their stuff, plugging. And Teal, as an alum that still gets to come back here and still gets to work here and gets to work closely with the student population. This is like the dream scenario that we should have been back in March. And then we should be dealing with this, the second 3-4 years here. I don't know, but like then I also like really intrigued. Like you guys are new here. You've only been here 3 months? 4 months? All right, 2.5 months. Has any of the shit that we've talked about or addressed or the shit you've seen online, like have you been witness or been able to experience any of that? Or are we just like, Yes.
I mean, obviously, I'm not in a prime, target population. I'm also fairly, offline for the most part. So this all comes as a complete surprise to me. I've not heard or experienced anything about, anything that got there. So it's been very informative to me, but, I don't go on these pages. I don't hear people's complaints. I don't experience any hatred or anything. Obviously my experience is different from a lot of other people's, but that's my perspective.
Yeah.
I guess with prior shit,
Wait, higher than smoking, but no, continue.
it seems like a lot of people aren't talking about what happened. At least with upperclassmen. I hear about events that have happened, but not really the exact details that went on. And so I'm kind of just what did happen? I don't know.
I have a question for first year students. Do you guys feel a disconnect from the upperclassmen? Because almost all the upperclassmen live in either Prescott or Enfield. I have never seen most of you before. A few of you are in my class where I saw you at a show. I didn't know most of you existed until I live next door, so I'm always in Enfield. And that's it. So I didn't even know
Okay, we got it.
I see you, I know you.
I'm going to you. Holy shit.
Okay, so for my experience at least, the only time I've interacted with second, third, I don't know how to.
Somebody else is
It's
not
not
you.
making any
Yep.
sense. Anybody above me is, I've met them in the dining commons, and then 2 weeks after I started talking to them, oh yeah, by the way, I'm 21 and I'm the third year. I'm oh, okay, cool. So I think I've interacted with some of them, but I wouldn't know unless they explicitly told me or invited me to come hang out at their mom and play Uno. But I think I've mostly talked to just first years.
Yeah.
I like to think that the people who need to be here or will be able to really talk about this were made aware. Because the first step of this was happened 2 days ago. And it was on his mind, Marilyn, and I knew about this earlier just because I was in play.
Yeah.
And so this is not at all publicized the way it should have been. And so I think that's why you're probably gonna see a lot of people who gave beautiful candy on our street.
I'm percolating. Yeah, what's up, Alex?
I'm gonna speak a little bit to something that was brought up earlier about you not hearing it. I was an orientation leader, and so I feel okay saying this because I spent that check already. But I know for a fact that like in some ways orientation leaders were told like not to talk about this shit because we didn't want to scare you away. And like there were several of us who were like, hey, we should be talking about this stuff and let's make time to talk about this. And they're like, oh, we'll reevaluate that for next year. We might add things to the schedule for next year. And that was like very frustrating for a lot of orientation leaders that we didn't really have conversations about. We weren't really allowed to talk unfiltered to you guys about like what's been going on, especially the last year, because last year a lot of stuff happened.
A lot of stuff.
And that kind of stuff is important to carry on to you guys. That's not just forgotten and like buried in the collective memory of Hampshire College. But yeah, that's kind of the why of some of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll say, as an RA who lives with first years, I do my best to be honest about problems within the college, but I work like you guys. I work a lot with you guys about like personal, like in intersectionality stuff and like how to learn how to live with people for the first time. And so I feel like as much as Res Life does do a lot of good work to support us, and they do like I feel very supported in my job, but like we aren't given a lot of space to have conversations specifically with students about here are some problems that you might encounter and here are the people that you can go to do it. That's on like a very like one-on-one basis. And I also missed the entirety of orientation and movement because I got COVID. And so I wasn't even there for the first week of school. And so I've been doing a lot of catch-up work, like just emailing or running into residents and being like, hey, do you have an issue? Go talk to Robert, or go talk to Keel, or go talk to this person. And like I've heard from a lot of residents, like they have a really hard time knowing which departments on campus to go to for support, and also which departments on campus are confidential and which ones are not confidential. Because I'm very transparent, like I'm a mandated reporter. I can't be a confidential resource for you, but I can get you to a confidential resource if you need to have one. But it's like, there are so many acronyms everywhere that I don't even, just look it up.
Yeah, please do.
So I want to jump off that and go back to this earlier question about, and help if people are wanting to get some feedback on this, but how to create a space where people are more comfortable having conversations about questions of race and power and identity, and be willing to risk the harm that can come from that conversation. Because to go back to this issue of the orientation leaders and the conversation we wanted to have in that first week with first year students to begin thinking about how do you grapple with the problem of whiteness and white supremacy and your identity in relation to. We did a lot of work last spring trying to train orientation leaders and peer advisors and restorative practices and circle keeping to make space for that. But it's such a broad topic that ultimately I think what happened is that the students lost confidence in their ability to hold a space where they might not inadvertently or advertently do harm to somebody in that group, and so didn't want to do that. Right? So we need to figure out how to follow up on that.
Well, I mean,
the question is like, how do you do stuff like this?
The answer is right in front of you.
Yeah.
It's the first years. The first years, you guys are, I think that's it. It's like you guys are essentially, mean, it would take a very strong-willed person, but you're here for 4 years. That would mean that, you know, you have to source somebody and be willing to step up and do the hard work and actively hold these conversations and actively hold these meetings, and not just once a month, or a couple times a month, and then continuously reach out. But that requires a designated individual or individual in order to do that work. And I think that's why it was important. I was literally now going over to Teal to answer that. Was the Hampshire Anon, it was in relation to the Hampshire Anon page, is the box. The idea of turning the Hampshire Anon page into a submission box that people have access and resources to, honestly, Nikki, is a very smart idea in your space. Because it gives students the opportunity to just technically, anonymously, give their feedback. Now, yes, it's essentially a feedback box. And yes, I know that not a lot of people are active in wanting to do a feedback box. I know, I've done it, and I get like maybe 3 letters a year, and I'm like, well, this is fucking stupid. So, I mean, again, it comes down to having in-group conversations where, yes, you could possibly, you know, bring up the idea, like, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, write them down, we'll put them in the box. And then at the end of the month, somebody goes through all of them and reaches out to the appropriate individuals. But it comes down to finding people to do the hard work and to consistently reach out and to consistently communicate with everybody in those channels. And that's increasingly difficult because the issues that we were hoping for aren't the people in the room. So to be able to, I guess, get ahead of what we're seeing is to then ask it's a really big ask. You know, this is your, you know, for a first year to take on such a heavy thing. And then, not only that, is to take on the role, then also backtrack. You have to see what we've been dealing with, the issues that have been kind of repeated over and over and over. It's a big ask. That's the only thing that I can keep saying. This is a ginormous task that is not going to be easy, and it's not going to be for somebody that's, you know, blasé. You have to go into this full force and continue to keep that momentum, continue to stay motivated, and that is a long task of somebody at your age. Boom. Go.
So I want to circle back to speaking to that, but also bringing up the comment about orientation, because I think that orientation is a really powerful space. And given that you all are first years, you probably have a really active memory of what happened during orientation. So by show of hands, how many of you were really exhausted by the end of orientation? Know that the schedule that we put together was actually like 2/3 of what we actually prepared. Because we were reflective of your feedback, and we saw that you were all tired, and we had to really try and reflect what resources you really needed at that time to get acclimated to the college, and what we were going to draw out throughout the entire semester. Because, as Marilyn just suggested, you know, these are large conversations, and we're not going to end white supremacy, we're not going to end homophobia or transphobia or a safety issue that might come up with just one conversation, and we're going to change a huge 400-year system of oppression system that is we're built on and that we're going to function through just to try and find new liberatory ways of existing here in Hampshire. So I think that it's important too to know that we want to engage with all of you across your first year, across your second year, as you advance through your DIS, because we can't pack everything into orientation week. We want to help you foster those relationships with upperclassmen who have that historic knowledge of the institution, who have experiences of being a part of different events in Hampshire's history. And we want you to cultivate those relationships, so that's how that history can organically be passed down and preserved through the student body. Instead of trying to hold a unified space to say, here in orientation, we're going to go over this, and this, that might have happened last week. Instead, we want that to grow organically, in my mind. But I'm also 2 months old.
Open up the floor to anything that you guys really want to share. I do know, I'm sorry, I saw the time. Part of me doesn't want to end. I still think that we can get something out of this meeting. I just don't know what it is, and maybe I'm grasping at straws. I don't know. But I feel like this is your moment, right? I know that you are all freshers and you're not coming into this with a shit ton of baggage or a shit ton of grievances, or like, this happened to me and my friend, and I don't know what to do about it. Yes, Teal, because you work here.
Hey, well, you know, I was saying earlier to Marilyn and to Robert that through the circumstances of my life, I've been given the gift of spending a lot of my life and my career here in Hampshire, learning about Hampshire itself, how it works, what is the history of this place, how did we get here. And at this point, I get to be in this role of somebody who remembers what happened before. And I know Peter is also someone who remembers what happened before, right? Maybe, mostly, right? So I think there's a way that as we have this conversation in this space, I think a lot about the many times it's a real deja vu conversation. And when we talk about it, it makes me want to know that we will keep having this conversation. So I want to say that to you all, that that's one thing I know we can get out of this, is an invitation to you all to stay in this with us. And when we do get to that point where if it hasn't happened yet, where you're like, here it is. Here's that moment where I saw something that I didn't feel right about. Here's that moment where someone said something and I didn't know what to say, but I knew that it wasn't right. Here's that moment where I found myself saying something that hurt somebody else, and I don't want to do it again. I think one invite I have to you all is to keep us in mind, to know that you can reach out for support, that support exists for you not just as you're a student, but as you're a human being growing into a path of justice. I hope working for justice in the world, I hope, because we need each other in that. So that's one thing that I can offer to you all, and I hope that we can also have more conversations about how to bridge these different generations of knowledge within our community to draw on some of that wisdom of where are places where somebody who just got here can give us a fresh perspective, and how can we also honor the many, many years of people who've done this work. So.
Same. No one behind you. Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, I am a transfer student, and I transferred from NYU. Everybody
Why'd you say that from the beginning? You know I come from New York. Shame on you.
I'm so sorry. I had a terrible first semester, first year at NYU. I was there. Fall of 2020, so it was even worse because it was during COVID. It was horrible. Don't go there. Anyways.
You brought it up.
It's okay. I figured it out. Now I'm here. So, I just wanted to say, coming first in the room, you're in a very special school where conversations like this are we do stuff like this at a traditional college like NYU. This would never happen. They like to shove everything under the rug. Anything that would happen, you go to someone, they would be don't talk about it. We're not gonna deal with it, we're not gonna talk about it. It's a shame on our reputation, not even something that we're gonna address. Whereas here, you have the opportunity to have conversations like this and bring up things that are bad and actually fix them and be open about it. And I just want you all to know that you should take advantage of that, because you wouldn't get that opportunity at a normal college. And this is your time to actually be really active and involved in an administration that really cares about you and wants to be better. And this is it. I just feel really honored and blessed that I get to be here, because this is so much healthier and better than being at a school that doesn't even give a shit about its students.
That pays people to keep things quiet.
Literally.
We won't talk about NYU at all.
Literally, yeah.
But also, again, I think helping out with that, Ed's here.
Yeah.
No school fucking president would ever, in their right mind, take time out of their day to leave their Oval Office to come sit in a freezing cold room, an all black room, mind you, to have this conversation. You guys are so fucking lucky. Giving you a compliment. I know it sounds but yes, I said some dumb shit, and I didn't expect this conversation to continue after, just but it did, and the conversation just got more, and I think we were so excited and are still excited to have this conversation, either with Ed or with another person of administration. So if anything, leave here today knowing that A, the administration is here to help and support, and plugging. You have this lovely individual plugging their office and their vegan snacks all the time that you can reach out to. Or if you want the really cool person with the non-vegan snacks, over there! And if you don't want to talk to either one of these people, or Amelia, my DMs are open. Again, I'll try my best to keep it confidential. It really just depends on like the sense of urgency. Like if you're like, cool, I'm about to go jump off, I don't know, I-95?
Yeah.
Maybe don't tell me that, because I'm gonna be at a bar in New York. But you know, you do have people here, and you do. Yes, I know that. I thought that was funny. I don't know why. There are people that will put in the work and the effort that are immediately available. So do not forget that, especially as first years, as you're, you know, finals and midterms come up. This is going to be this most stressful time of year. Reach out. There are people that are willing to help and are willing to put in the efforts, even fucking 3 in the morning if you don't think that's possible.
Reach out to the RAs.
Oh shit, that too.
I also want to say, if you're interested in actively helping us continue this conversation, please, when you leave, write your email down on a note card. I will keep it and I will help you get in the loop and become a part of this conversation. And you can help plan meetings and Zoom calls and advertising for these discussions because we need help. We need as many people to help plan because I, from experience, helped plan this event. I'm starting to get burnt out as upperclassmen, and we need people who are excited and who have the time and energy to put in, because everyone is all, I think I can speak for a lot of upperclassmen where, specifically my class came in with no upperclassmen and we had to take on all the work. So people are already tired, which is weird to say as a sophomore. So please get involved. We want you to be involved. If you don't know how, come find me. I will tell you what mod I live in. I will give you my phone number, my email, school email, personal email, my facilitator email, mixed math email. I have a lot of emails. It's very easy to contact me.
Yes.
Oops, sorry. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I did have a question. I don't know if it's like too late for asking.
It's right.
Okay, so you might have already said this. I'm sorry if I'm making you like repeat yourself. But I guess what's the biggest change you'd like to see in how white students like interact with students of color and the kind of like environment it creates here?
Well, you're at a disadvantage, at least on my end, because my ass doesn't go here.
Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not.
But I meant like from what you've seen, I guess.
I think my answer really starts with the conversation and having this repeatedly. That's the biggest change that I want to see. I don't want to make this just a one-off. I don't want to make this a monthly thing. It needs to be a consistent conversation that is constantly being had, not just cool. If I get away this coming to this campus, or you know, oh, or my building is hosting this event. Come and air your grievances. No, it should be, oh, this person is always available. I'm going to them. I don't care what time it is to get this sorted, or you know, this terrifies me. Or you could just reach out to this person, and they might be able to help you. No, they won't. They're vegan snacks. It's disgusting. I have vegans and I don't go on. It's true. It's true. They don't eat cheese. It's terrifying. I don't trust anybody that don't eat cheese. New York food is really confusing. So that's my response: is constantly reach out. And if you don't know, still reach out. They will. You have a really big Rolodex of resources, I'm sure. And if not, right, you can use your COVID story. Ed can always assist you. Never mind. Apparently I've been confusing the two of them all day. Like, you can grab and do whatever.
Everyone take your phones out right now
Okay.
and write down our emails. We can go down the line, we can give you points of contact, so you have it. So you get it right now. My main email is arb21@hampshire.edu.
Wait, can you say that again? Sorry.
V as in Victor.
V as in Victor, 21@hampshire.edu. I answer my emails almost instantly.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting.
Yes.
You honestly make me really upset at how slow I am to respond to emails.
I am on it, so if you email me, you will hear back within 15 minutes unless I'm in class.
Then it's 22 minutes.
Do you mind if I say something about it?
Hop in there, babe.
So, you know, I think it's one of the things that I think about, is how to take responsibility for the position you occupy within a structure that provides you, and you're talking about what white students can do, right? That you can do with not just kind of verbal acknowledgement of, okay, well, I understand that because I'm white, I inherit privileges and power that I reenact again and again, right? It's different from there's between recognizing and acting and trying to transform, right? So I think one of the things that's really important is that for white students, and not white students, white citizens, and white people generally in a society that is premised upon white supremacy, is to regularly, actively, and kind of obnoxiously both point out how that operates and try to figure out what you can do in small ways and large to push back against that. And I think, you know, one of the ways to think about that is, and I was giving an example from the academic realm. One of the things that we've been trying to do, that our faculty are working really hard to do, for, you know, and it's hard, is to look at the ways in which the knowledge that has been produced in the various disciplines of the college were all produced under conditions of white supremacy and colonization. That means that all of those ways of knowing, all of those judgments about what is good and bad art, all of those ideas about how we make sense of the world come with that knowledge. So, again, think about the classroom, everyone is always teaching about race all the time, unless they have intentionally tried to understand how race influences what they do, made it visible, and tried to push back against it. Right? And that's just a sort of narrower version of how all of us move our lives all the time. Now, so let me give you one other example. It might be a little more concrete.
Should I go back to my seat now?
Oh, yeah. You know, one of the, and I'm damping so Marilyn has to get back. One of the things that I think is a good analogy to this is think about the way that gender identity and a commitment to trying to build a just campus that is not just welcoming to and inclusive of, I don't really like those words very much, but is fundamentally changed by and restructured by taking seriously the idea that there's a wide range of gender expressions. Right? You can see it physically on campus. You can see it in the way our spaces are organized. You can see it in the way that we try to do record keeping, right? Sometimes we don't always do as well there as we should, but all of those efforts are very visible, they're important, and they're not kind of episodic. What does that do? That makes people feel seen and be recognized and feel like they're at home, right? That this is a place that is for them. What is the equivalent for students of color? How would we live differently? How would we think about the shape and space of the college differently? How would we do our day-to-day work differently if we wanted Hampshire College to feel for students of color the way increasingly it feels for people who have a wide range of gender, sexuality, and identities. And that isn't something that happens kind of off on the side once in a while. It has to be something that paying attention to, it's at the front of mind all the time, even to the extent where it's kind of tiring, right? But kind of asking to be attentive and tired in the face of the injustices and inequities that our society imposes on people of color is not too much to ask. That's a really long and not fun answer, but I think it's true. And I think it's hopeful, right? Like again, I talk to students over and over again who come to Hampshire, and some of you are among them who say, I came to Hampshire and I felt seen, right? I felt at home for maybe the first time. I almost never had that conversation with students. They come to Hampshire for lots of other reasons, but it isn't because they walk on our campus and said, oh my gosh, I'm at home here. That's got to be what we're trying to accomplish. It's a long way.
And just to add a little bit more to that, thinking back to the question that was raised and asked, so thank you for raising and asking the question. When I heard the question, and I might have heard it a little bit differently, but what it boiled down to me was basically what are we hoping to see in a student body on a campus that really acts and feels and initiates and manages itself in an anti-racist way. I want to turn that question to the BIPOC students. And that's not necessarily putting anybody on the spot here, but that's a question that I want white students to ask BIPOC students, and to listen attentively to all of the perspectives that we have across campus, and to recognize that you have a role and you have power to help make that change happen, so that we can have a dynamic, transformative campus experience, so that the BIPOC students don't have negative experiences or they don't make posts on anonymous forums that say they don't feel safe, so that everybody can really navigate the space proud to wear the color of their skin or wear their racial or ethnic identities and be the people who they are. So just know that I want to hear all of the people here having conversations with me in my office, but also with all of the students.
This has been going on for at least 2 hours of just shameful plug.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Or if you're ever in New York and you would like a drinking buddy, I start at 8 a.m. It's called brunch.
As we are getting closer to 8:30, thinking of wrapping up and having any final remarks, does anyone have any questions about anything, any further comments, any questions about resources?
That's not this office. Swear to God. Shutting that down. Yes! Eat it, right?
Yes. So I'm trying to figure out. This might. I like writing stories and I want to be inclusive, but I don't want to be the kind of person who says, "Oh my God, we look at this character; they're so diverse," because that just feels a bit disingenuous. How could I go about making my characters in my story not so more diverse in that area, in the range of like ethnicity and stuff, without having it feel forced or disingenuous or just kind of like marketing greedy,
God, don't make my brain work. I mean, I think the honest answer is just don't point out the obvious. Like, at the end of the day, if we're all fucking humans, then we're all humans. Like, you don't need to point out, oh, they're blatantly this. You can subtly hint at it, but you don't need to be like, oh, cool, this one, contact. Let's say you're talking about my gay ass, right? And I'm sitting next to Amelia. You don't have to be like, oh, this 6'7" giant asshole who talks a lot of shit for a couple hours, just literally at me. And let us form our own opinion. Just sometimes it's less is more. That's my favorite thing in the world. want to say. In social situations, when you're seeing it in media, or even if you're having a conversation, let us do the groundwork, if that makes sense. Like, I love being able to have to, if let's say you're having a conversation about teal and all I get is a name, make me want to hop onto the Hampshire website and have to hunt this person down in order to get a fully rounded picture. Because for a month, I had no idea what the hell media looked like until, you know, I had to put in the work, the effort, and the energy to be like, hey, let's go to a meeting and like actually talk things out. And then I got a face of the name, and now we're like best friends. Like, that's how this works. I mean, granted, we also talk a lot of shit, but less is more. That's my adult answer. Less is more. Also, I swear to God, I've been looking at you all evening, and I know I'm like staring you down. Who the hell are you?
Me?
Yes, you.
You all
It's
want to
the
know who I
shoes.
am,
It's
right?
literally the shoes. You thought you were gonna walk here and I was not gonna call you out?
I'm staff.
I knew it. Okay. Who?
But I work for that person right there, and I am entering as a student, and that's my advisor next spring.
Got it.
And
Cool.
an equity member.
What's that?
An equity member.
Woo! Come on, equity! Sorry,
New York, New York.
After that. Wait, oh, thank you for that.
Coming to New York in January.
Opening a play, yeah.
Excuse me, and you thought you were just gonna skate by and not
Well,
Hattie LaPone just left the
I
union.
know, and I got thoughts on that, but.
So I don't know why you're still, I haven't paid my dues this month, and I will not pay my dues until Patty comes back.
Well,
I
yeah.
wrote Kate Schindel a strongly worded letter saying I'm
Good
not
luck
paying
with
my
that.
actor's dues until Patty LaPone comes back to the actors union.
Uh-huh.
You're welcome.
So I have
Welcome
thoughts
to the meeting.
on the character.
So actually, that's a
Me
great
too.
question. So how do you feel having heard and sat through all of this today as a prospective student? See?
Yeah.
Yes, as a
and
prospective
professional
student,
actor.
ex-faculty, and actor, hearing that everything that we talked about is an intersectional issue.
It is a very complex issue. I was an associate member, but I was on the artistic board of a theater company, my theater company in Los Angeles for many years. And they are just now sort of really, well, not just now, but LA in general, coming to Jesus about diversity casting, and let's do all these seminars, and let's do all that. So I looked up the mission statement of my theater company just now, and they changed it to, the mission statement has the mandate in there, cultural awareness of where we live. And that's like a huge change for them. It's just, they're just now starting to grapple with that. It's interesting hearing everybody's, I'm not a first year, but I think my job, as in my job and in my artistic life, is listening and trying to learn. So that's my job.
So then I'll pose this question to the staff in the room. The concerns and the conversations that we wanted to have with the student body didn't particularly happen the way we thought they were going to. So then as staff, have you been made privy or aware to any of the issues and or topics that we've raised, and or have questions, comments, concerns, thoughts about how to effectively and create change or just move forward? Question mark? Peter, looking at you too. Anybody else in the room? Starting with you.
I guess I could.
Yeah, that's good.
I've been here before any of you, except for a few people up there. I've been born. I'm looking at 28 years I've been at Hampshire. So, it's been a wild ride. But the most exciting time I've been having has been in the last couple of years. Meaning that exciting to see the students that are entering and appreciating the energy that they're spending on not only theater, but all the issues that have been brought up. And even though I've been here 28 years, I'm learning, I'm still learning. and I'm trying to stay open. You know, if you're the age that I am, it's easier just to shut down, where I can just say, oh, I know everything, and, I have nothing to learn. But every day I'm learning. I didn't know about Hampshire
No.
so when I go home, I'm gonna check it out.
Pour yourself a glass of wine, get in there.
Okay,
Honey.
should I, okay, you don't want me to check it out?
No, I'm telling you, take the time. I'm gonna work, Hannah, where's Hannah? Is she right there? Hannah, I was here to my housemate, Hannah, who let me stay at her place this weekend. Yay. Yeah, we're gonna go over that with a bottle of red in like a little bit, don't you worry. But again, I'm gonna stop real quick. So to answer, because this is something that literally just popped up, so then what is a barrier for you in terms of learning and just in this whole experience? You said you've been here 28 years, so what is something for you that you're either having a disconnect with, either connecting with the student body, or just in general in terms of all of this change that's happened, particularly pertaining to like the last 3-4 years here?
Well, just to be accepting and to listen and to take it in and try not to have knee-jerk responses to things that I'm learning for the first time.
Can you give an example?
Just things, yeah, well, let me see if I can come up with one. Well, I don't know if I can come up with a specific example. Okay. Grappling with the idea of white supremacy. Okay, first time I heard that expression, which would have been used as it's used today, it was a couple of years ago. And I immediately thought, white supremacy, that means the KKK. What does that have to do with me? Okay, so then I needed to do the work to figure out, I understand that. I mean, I'm still understanding it. It isn't, I don't go immediately KKK. I go, it's big, it's large, it's institution, it's everything, and it's part of me. So that would be an example of something that, that at first, I have to grapple with. So another one would be Black Lives Matter. When that first occurred, and that was happening, it was, what do you mean? And of course, like many people, I thought, well, all lives matter? But then I realized, after doing the work, after reading, after listening, that that there's something here that has nothing to do with all lives. So it's just being able to, those I guess are two examples in me, in my journey.
So as it pertains to Hampshire College, how are you navigating that as a faculty and then just as a part of the community? So I feel like that is something. Yeah, answer that part first. I don't.
Well, all of that I picked up from being at Hampshire College. I wouldn't have been able to come to those understandings, that understanding or I guess appreciation. If I had been somewhere else, if I had been at UMass, it's because I'm here, and because it's right there, right? And I want to be, I enjoy being here. I feel blessed that I am here. There's no other kind of job like this. I realize, I have to take part in this. I have to take, it's a continual, it's been an education every one of those 28 years. And it's all dependent on who the students are. I mean, I've seen a lot of changes within the theater program. And there were times where, I wanted to resist. I really felt I needed to resist, but I realized, no, I can't resist. I can't, I have to, I have to accept. I have to accept, and I have to become energized by that, what's coming up.
So what spurred you, other than the fact that other than like the resounding you need to, right? What was the motivating factor for you to then get the energy, to then become motivated, to then adapt to what is considered?
Oh, it comes from the students. It's seeing them and interacting with them that motivates me, that gives me that satisfaction, and that drive to continue every day. I mean, I think that's something, if you're a teacher, I think that's part of your motivation, because you feed off of that energy and that exchange and the challenge you receive from those students and from your minds. I'm speaking about you all. And I have a number of my first year seminar students are here. And I haven't spoken like this in front of them. So
well, and that's a good piggyback.
Yeah.
So as students hearing your professor say shit like that, sorry Peter, just a general collective census, like what are our thoughts on that? Like hearing that you guys are the motivators for administration for wanting to create a change and wanting to change their point of view. It's like, one, then one, because your hand went up first.
One, Peter, as somebody in your class, I just want to say that out of all the teachers I have ever had, you have been the most forward about being supportive, and it's just been really great, like, be able to talk to you and just like explain that, like, I personally at least don't really have a specific gender I go by, or like explaining my names to you, and you just immediately accepting that and trying to remember and learn it is really amazing. And knowing that we're part of the reason that you want to get better at being supportive and open to people is also one of the coolest things I've heard an adult person say to me.
I second this.
Anybody else? Doors open. Oh yeah, you.
So first of all, we love you so much, Peter. I hope you know that.
It's not just a first year thing.
I think that it's really important for us to hear that the adults, like we're adults, the real adults.
The ones who pay taxes, yeah.
I think it's important for us to hear that, like, the staff and administration want to learn from us, because I think there are a lot of situations where it seems like, particularly administration over faculty, do not want to change. So hearing that they want to learn from us is important, and it's really nice to hear that from Peter, and I think it would be nice to hear that from other offices as well. If they want to hear what we have to say, because it feels like we get shut down a lot. Design-driven performance!
That design-driven performance will probably be the best class you take at Hampshire ever, because it is my favorite class I've ever taken. So.
I'm gonna just quickly, bye Mia, thank you so much for staying for this. Ed, hearing the students' reaction to the very fucking positive reaction, hearing that they're the reason why you. Thoughts, comments, questions, concerns. Because I love that.
Yeah, me too. And I think that, I think the main thing I'm hearing there is a deep sense of optimism and kind of actually joy about the expression concretely of people in this room and Peter over the course of a career, that what Hampshire College fundamentally is here for is to try to actually pursue a more just world. And to figure out ways to do education differently in that pursuit. And so to say, we are committed to trying to figure out how to overcome white supremacy. That we are committed to grappling meaningfully as an institution, as a faculty, as a staff, with what that means at a very deep level. Because that's what we're here for. And then to say, to have students that come and say, yeah, we see that you're trying to do that. And we see how that principled commitment is having a real impact on actual individuals changing the way they live their lives. Here, expresses the power that might have elsewhere, and the impact that we want to have elsewhere. So, I'll give you one example of that. Our new senior vice president for Justice, Equity, and Anti-Racism, Sheila Boyd, not here with me.
Plugging.
Yeah, plugging. Right, but one of the things she said, the reason why she came here, was she looked at what Hampshire says it wants to be, and some of the things we tried to do, and said, look, if we're gonna build an anti-racist system of higher education among persistently white institutions, because there are institutions that already do this, right? If Hampshire can't do it, it can't be done. So I'm gonna come here to try to make it happen. And that's a nice thing to see, just to hear that from her, but also to see some of the micro implications of that among individuals' people's lives in particular groups. Now, sorry that you don't think that the administration is here. That's that I can work on. I'd like to have more gatherings like this. I wonder if we have more people come, when we try to keep trying.
I think that's it. We have to keep trying. It's not just. Regardless of the turnout, the conversation today has been unbelievably positive, and that's actually I literally went into the other room to quickly percolate what next steps could look like, because I was like, I need to figure this out. And then after hearing Peter and this dynamic, I have 90 more other thoughts that we're all gonna need to sit down and collaborate on. But just first, I just want to say thank you. Just thank you for showing up, and thank you for being a part of this conversation, because again, it wouldn't be possible without you. So. Just being very, very mindful of the time and of the space, and everybody can get them safely, and I can down a bottle of red wine in the next hour. I would love to slowly start packing up and striking and just saying thank you. But before we do that, does anybody have any last comments, questions, concerns, or things they would like to get out now? Besides you, Teal. No, I know. Teal.
I want to say before we go that my colleague Janine Manton is a confidential resource on campus. And if you're looking for someone to talk to, and we want to know that conversation will be held in confidentiality, many of us on campus can have conversations and do our best to hold a confidential space. But Janine's one designated person who you know you can talk to in this moment. Her name is spelled Janeen, and she's on the directory. And she's fantastic. I sent you to her with great confidence. And I wanted to be sure we mention that if folks are looking for, as we figure out ways to get this feedback, if you need someone to talk to and you're feeling concerned about who it might be, she's a great resource. And I also want to extend my deep thanks to Marilyn for being here. And I'll send you back this way.
Yes, thank you, Marilyn, so much for coming back. Yes.
Okay.
I'm really excited personally for this to continue, this conversation to continue. Again, if you're interested in being a part of this, please, right now.
Please do.
We will
you'll be in contact with them in 15 minutes.
Yes,
That's how that
I
goes.
will, as soon as I get home, I am like planning on.
Which home is right there, by the way?
That.
Whatever. Out of this building.
So yes, thank you so much, and quickly, if anyone isn't rushing home, we would appreciate maybe helping stack some chairs, because Sam did a lot to set up the stage. So any help clean up is appreciated. If you can't stay, of course, that is totally fine. Thank you
get it.
for being here on a Friday night.
Thank you to Ed for coming on Friday. After I maybe coerced, yeah, threatened them, seeing if they didn't come back, make their life a living hell. So thank you for taking time out of your busy Friday night to be here. Especially, I know you wouldn't know real life. I know where his office is, and most importantly, and I know after your 8 weeks here, congratulations, probation. This conversation would not have happened, or without you constantly being like extremely fucking supportive. Just also know that if you go to their office, they have my contact info. And if you want to come to New York for a weekend, there's literally $10 bus tickets. We can get Shrek for $20. That's all I'm gonna say. But I will say, moving forward in terms of conversations here at Hampshire College, I have every intention of being a part of as many of them as possible. I do not. I want to let just a resounding thing has been like, oh, you come to a campus as a performer, you do your thing, and then you leave. That's not me. I have every intention of wanting to be here to continue this conversation, because again, this conversation would not have happened if I didn't say some shit to Ed in March. And then again, still coming back and still saying shit to Ed in, what month is this? October. Oh, it's Spoopy Month. During Spoopy Month, again, there are going to be many more of these, and please know that I will make every act of effort, even if I'm not physically here, I'll fucking Zoom in. I don't care. I will be a part of as many of these so you know that you have a designated person who is 6'7", gay as hell, that will wear a wig every time they come in to be a part of this community. So just thank you. Just know that and thank you. And now get the fuck out, because I want to take this off.